We got the GoPro going.
My name is Shakiyl Cox. I'm a 23-year-old university and college graduate working on my master's at Ryerson University in Toronto, Canada. I live in Richmond Hill, a suburb just north of Toronto. But before that, I lived in Jane and Finch, a rougher part of the city. I guess you can say I'm your typical 23-year-old. I like hip-hop, going out with my friends, playing basketball, spending time with my family, and watching TV. I live with my 2 younger brothers, baby sister, both parents, and my aunt. But what I've seen on TV lately hasn't been the best depictions of black people.
If you find a 50 in here, I'll put
that I've been cheating on with one of his friends.
I'm not saying that we're the only kind of people shown badly, but this has an effect on what people think and expect of me.
You are a dumb shut. Yeah, you want to hear me? It ain't stopped yet, baby. Let's go, let's go. You got me on national TV looking like a sucker?
We, as a people, are labeled. They want to call it labeled.
To replay this message, press 1.
Palm trees in my rear view. Your favorite lady say you cannot see.
Good vibes and good energy. That's how people know Blake Carrington. Black is a beautiful thing to me, man. I look at myself as a king, a young king. My mother always told me that I am a king. My father always told me that I am a king. You know what I'm saying? So being from them, their father, you know what I mean? They come from royalty. So I look at black being royalty. Does society reflect music, or does music reflect society? So does the media reflect, you know what I mean, us, or does the media reflect, or do we reflect the media? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, there's choices, man. Little steps make the biggest choices, and I feel like people have a choice of going on a certain TV show and implementing themselves like that, or, you know what I mean, not doing that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I think people just look at entertainment as like an anchor to help people out, or this, that, and the third, or to like judge people on, you know what I mean? You shouldn't be judging people anyways. Get you some money and handle your business. Hello. It's easy to look at somebody on TV doing something or implementing an image, and you're saying that's not how you should be. You know what I mean? But you don't know what that person went through. You don't know what they did to get there. You know what I'm saying? So I think society has a lot of things to do with shit like that. You know what I mean? Because where I come from, you know, we were just looking at, we don't look at the TV as people on TV being our heroes. You know what I'm saying? Our heroes were the people that we seen hanging in our area. You know what I mean? People that we know specifically. You know what I mean? A lot of people look at TV for heroes, and that's not the way to live. People don't think we can speak properly, and a lot of people don't think rap artists are professional. I don't really like to use the term rapper because I feel like rapper is a beginning stage. You know what I'm saying? I'm an artist. You know what I'm saying? So I use that. But I think a lot of people put rap artists in a context like they cannot speak. They're not professional. Like, I've been to sound checks and stuff like that, and like I remember this one guy was like, "Are you performing?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Wow, you're here on time. You must not be a rapper. You must be a manager or something." I'm like, "Nah, I'm performing." He's like, "Wow, I've never seen that in all the years of me doing work, and it's been like a big show." So I think people look at us like, because they see the way we dress, they think that we have criminal records and things like that. I'm a free man.
As bad as it may seem, the expectation for an inability to speak and be a contributing member to society extends beyond the parameters of a rap profession. Meet my parents Alan and Natalie Cox, who've been married for 25 years and are far removed from any couple you've seen on a show beginning in Housewives or ending in hip-hop. Why don't I talk?
What is talking black?
Exactly.
What is talking black?
I guess with more slang.
But that's product of your environment. So if your environment is being in the quote unquote, you know, ghetto, you know, you're around all that slang talking, then yeah, you're going to grow up talking that slang that everybody else does. And that will be per se your first language, if you want to call it a language, which it is not. And you grow up in an environment where, you know, people around you don't speak like that, so how are you going to speak like that? So it's that simple.
And does that make you less black?
It doesn't.
Because you can enunciate, because you can speak?
Or is it growing up as a child, my mother always wanted us to fit in, which was probably the best thing that she actually taught us at a young age, you know, because she wanted us to understand we're from this environment, like, you know, this is where we live. So in order to thrive, we have to, you know, assimilate, which only makes sense. You know, we came from Jamaica, so coming there with, you know, our dialect or whatever you want to call it, you know, makes us stand out in a different way. And she didn't want that. She wanted us to, you know, to fit in and to sound like everybody else. So that was very intentional, you know, thought process on her for us. And I think it only makes sense, right? If you're growing up in an area community that's going to be different, and then you want to aspire to fit into the general community, don't you have to sound like them and act like them? You know, it is what it is. This is the world we live in.
Yes, the blood continues to spill on VH1's Love and Hip Hop after Kimbella threw a glass at Erica and she was like, no you didn't!
If you look in media, you know, for a lot of white people, there's a lot of positive things, you know, in the print and in the news, and it's just there. It's just there. So it makes their life a lot easier to get to where they need to be. For us, it's a struggle. It's a shame because they have so much positive around them that they want to gravitate to the negativity, and it's because it's what they see on TV or they see in print or
what else
whatever
do they
else,
see?
right? They don't see any positive images, and the positive images that they do see don't look like them on TV, right? So they think, well, that's, you know, cool, or that's, you know, they want to be accepted in that way. And a lot of times it takes them to become adults to realize that, hey, that's foolishness. But you know, they go through this process, and they shouldn't have to. They should be able to see, you know, great images on TV and print that they could, you know, aspire to be.
Because I was in gymnastics and I didn't do the other sports that the other black girls did. So they saw me as trying to be other than black, or because I didn't speak the way that they speak and I spoke properly and enunciated, you know, I was trying to be something other than, which is bullshit, really. I mean, why does being black have to be slang talking, basketball playing? I couldn't play basketball to save my life. I think that narrow vision, you know, trying to fit us into these little, that to be black you're like this or to be black you're like that, to me that's just bullshit.
Whether it was an all-black cast, mixed ethnicities, or a show mimicking reality television, the characteristics and stereotypes reinforced were the same. The media must hold some responsibility.
Hi, my name is Adrian McKenzie, co-publisher of Urban Artistry Magazine and the creative director of Urban Artistry Magazine.
I'm also a staff writer for the magazine, which covers fashion, technology, music, and urban culture. Why do you think that a lot of these negative stereotypes sell? Like with shows like Love and Hip Hop, where a lot of the characters are womanizers, the women are like ex-strippers and they commodify their bodies, ex-drug addicts, things like that.
That's the thing. Like, I guess it's like two perspectives you can look at it. If I'm the media outlet, I'm kind of like, if I take the normal average person and put them on the show, it might be just boring. Like, you know what I mean? If you look at like just your day-to-day life, would it be interesting for someone to see that on TV? You would have been like, no, it's not. So you're gonna try and grab the most flamboyant person, the most, like, you know what I mean, out there, like living it up type person.
Do you find it necessary to use some of these things to sell your magazine? Because like there's other magazines, like I think, was it Double XL, that had like Stacey Dash, for example, on the cover showing her bone. Like, do you find it necessary that you gotta do things like that to sell?
I guess if it's like a specific topic and you're going for attention grabbing, then sure. But just to do it to sell copies. Like if you're doing it, then like just as like outrageous or like as attractiveness to images, the article and the words itself should be just as equal as it is, and have like substance towards that. Like we were talking about strippers, yes, you have all these dope, like, you know what I mean, all these, I guess, luscious pictures, but then the article is just like not well written. It's just like, it just seems like it's just something to go along with the pictures.
Is he the only black guy here? No, well, Shaq's always here.
My name is Mark Anthony Synagoga. I am a comedian here in Richmond Hill, Ontario. I run Funny Man Fridays, which is a monthly comedy show here at the Richmond Hill Center for Performing Arts. So I think some stereotypes are over-exaggerations of what certain specific kinds of black people or Chinese people do, and I think it's all down to individuality, because there are white girls that are hoes, there's black girls that can't drive, there, you know what I mean? It's all down to the individual. I don't think that it's that segregated towards particular race and stuff like that. I could take myself, for example, for my own stereotypes, being fat, being white, being a big, tall, fat, white comedian. It's like I'm supposed to do a lot of certain kind of humor. I'm supposed to do the self-deprecating stuff. I'm supposed to do why I'm fat. You know, it's all supposed to be based on being fat. And I've had my own, like, I'm trying to think of a word here, but my own battles in my own head about what jokes to do, what jokes not to do based on being fat. And is it my responsibility to be aware for the stereotypes on stage? As a performer, 100%, because you are on a fine line of what you say and what people think is funny versus offensive, right? Like, you could literally, one word can just push it over the edge where people are like, forget this guy, this isn't funny, he's being an asshole, he's being racist, I don't want to hear from this guy anymore. When in actuality, it's those people that are the ones that are pushing the stereotypes or not pushing the stereotypes. So that's why it's kind of difficult, and you have to try the same joke out so many times to see where that line is, right? And then again, that line is different for each individual, because there's a guy in the crowd who just absolutely hates black people or Chinese people and are gonna think what you're saying is hilarious. And the more I say any profanity about a certain race, he's loving it. And then there's another person where if you even say a Chinese accent, they're like, forget this guy, he's terrible. I don't like this.
For this number 4 pick, and Ginebra San Miguel selects James Forrester.
Whenever I'm walking down the street, somebody will, or a little Filipino kid will be like, yo, you know, my nigga, or something like that. And that's just because that's all they see on TV. That's what they see on the music videos. That's what they hear in the music. So therefore, they think it's cool. They think it's accepted. I stand out like a sore thumb in the Philippines, to the point where they don't even realize that I'm one of them. They treat me so differently. It's to the point where, I honestly sometimes I feel like saying, you know what, I'm Filipino just like you. I have a Filipino mother just like all of you guys.
Pagtapos ng paglumalampas sa kanila, James Forrester absolutely messes up the ring. Slam, bam, the thank you.
It's not their fault. It's really just due to the lack of knowledge, the lack of education that they have there, and I can't be mad at them. The real role models aren't the people that are on TV. Just because you're on TV doesn't make you a role model. It kind of defaults to that, but in my opinion, the role models in my life are my father, my parents, the people that have been with you, and my girlfriend too.
My longtime friend James is a perfect example of the global power of mass media and his experiences being half black, playing basketball professionally in the Philippines. His girlfriend Kara, who might not be black, is very familiar with the unfair judgment he receives.
It's just common for them to address me rather than addressing him, especially when it comes to financial matters or anything that requires like a little bit of intellectual capacity. It's just their nature to speak to me directly and not to him. And maybe that's reflective of a preconceived notion that he's not as smart or not able to keep up with what's going on in the conversation. I know with my boyfriend, when he's been called whitewash, he kind of feels offended that he's not fulfilling their standard of authenticity of what it means to be black. But to me, what that says is, if you're whitewashed, and if Barack Obama is whitewashed, and if a black person who is educated and acts well in society is whitewashed, then what are you saying it means to really be black? Basically what it's saying is that if you're whitewashed, you're an upstanding citizen, and if you're not, then you're acting black. I think that's really racist of black people on their own people to call someone who's black whitewashed. There's been some situations where I feel uncomfortable or I feel like I'm treated in a certain way by black girls because I'm with a black guy. And that hurts my feelings as well. It's not that I'm really sensitive about it, but you kind of hope that that thing wouldn't exist, because to judge me based on my skin color is equally as bad.
This big-haired guy is my second-in-command college student brother Malik, who knows all about being judged just off of his looks.
So like I've walked by people and they've locked their car doors as I walk by. Not to say it's good for them to do that, but like the TV doesn't help that. TV doesn't help like the way we look as black people. So they see stuff happening on TV and it's never positive. And that's the way they act when it comes to everyday life. They'll look at any black person they see on the street and they'll just assume that that's what they see on TV. It's never any positive. Every black guy is a player, or every thug, and like every girl is like out to get money, or they're a stripper, or they're all ghetto and don't know how to talk properly, don't know how to act in public. If you know how to, basically if you know how to speak properly, then you're not really black. I've heard that from multiple people before, like, oh, you're not black because you don't sound black. Well, one day I was coming home from work. I was just taking the bus down, and I got off at Bernard. I was waiting for my aunt to pick me up, and as I was walking by, there's this woman sitting in her car. I was just walking by, and I just looked at her because, like, you know, you look around when you're always aware of your surroundings when you're walking. I looked at her, and she looked at me, and I saw the lock on her car go down, and she like got all tense as if I was gonna steal her car in broad daylight. So like, yeah, there's a lot of, they might not see it as being wrong. To them, they're just being cautious. But hey, like I said, I'm aware of how I may come across to people. Like, if you don't know me, you might assume the worst because I'm aware of how I look. I have, like I said, I have tattoos, long hair. Well, it's getting cut now, but I'm aware of how I may look to people. So whenever somebody does something like that, like as bad as it's to say, like, the way we're perceived, I can't blame them. So, you know, just let it be. It is what it is. So, like, I feel like I can't really be taken seriously in the real world with long hair. Although that, like, if I were to go to a job, they can't tell me to cut my hair because it doesn't fit their image. But at the same time, I know that people look at you differently if I were to walk in with an afro, with a ponytail, with braids. Like, I know if I have a clean cut and I look kept together, then I know I have a better chance at, like, most things in life. It's a step forward in life for me. It's not fair to us. Actually, it's not fair to anybody, because then it puts a negative image in their minds, so they automatically assume the worst of us. And for us, it makes us look bad as a whole, for black people. People assume the worst of us, and then when they find out there's a lot of us that are actually good people, they're confused, and they don't understand that there's a lot of good black people out there. These things make money. These shows, these music videos, these rappers, they make money because of the audience. It's what the people want. They want to see that. That's what they want to see. If I were to come out talking like this as a rapper and just rapping about how I live here, nobody wants to see that. Nobody cares. They'd rather hear what's happening where they're not from. So like, they have all these people in the suburbs buying albums off these people who live in the ghetto, selling drugs, doing all that stuff because they're not living it. They want to hear what's going on in their side of the world. I don't really look to television for any guidance or anything, or social media or nothing. That's all there for fun. I'll go on that for fun, but I'm not going to change my life based on something I saw on TV.
My girlfriend Katie, who also had a suburban upbringing in Saskatchewan, knows all about the constructed definitions of black people according to mass media through her own experiences.
To me, being black, personally, means a skin color. It's a race, a category of people who share the same origins. But I guess in terms of society, being black means something completely different. Usually when someone refers to something or someone else as black, they are kind of referring to you as what they see on television, which is the stereotypical black person, which is loud, obnoxious, confrontational, aggressive, angry, and for the most part, underachieving, if not undereducated. It's an unfair description, definitely, because just as with any race or any culture, any type of people, it does not speak true to everybody. It might speak true to the majority or to what we feel is the majority because that's all we see, but that doesn't mean that it's constant or static between every single person of that race. So it is unfair that these stereotypes are translated into facts, which they are not, but we treat them as such because that's all we're exposed to. I think we're expected to be this way because, like I said, that's what we're shown. So if I'm somebody who has no idea or little to no idea about another race, and all I've been shown for the majority of my life through mass media is that this race acts a certain way or behaves in a certain manner, I'm going to assume that before or during my meeting with someone like this, that they're either going to show me right away that they match this description or eventually will. I've had situations where people have been surprised to see that I'm black. I don't have, a strong accent. I articulate, I enunciate. So a lot of times that surprise comes after phone conversations, if those are the initial means of communication. When I meet someone, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm surprised. You're black. I didn't know you were black. I couldn't tell you were black. When I spoke to you on the phone, I had no idea you were black." But because I don't fit their description or fit their picture of what black sounds like, they're a little taken aback. It's a backhanded compliment only because, as a black woman or knowing what that means to someone else who's not black or someone who gives you that type of compliment, you know that it's coming from a place where they actually mean you know how to speak well. So if you can put yourself in that mind frame when that's said to you and understand the intent of the person who is saying it to you, regardless of whether or not it's ignorant, you can take it in stride. So although it is a compliment, it's a backhanded way of doing so.
My Aunt Anne, who's my dad's older sister, is very similar to me in the sense that she's dealt with being referred to as white due to her education, interests, and intellect.
I think it's easy to say the media is to blame because you see it often in the media, but then the people who consume it, a lot of times, those images, the gangster thing, the single mom, hard done by, all that kind of stuff. The consumers of that kind of media also is not just whites, it's also blacks. I mean, look at BET. All you see on there is that kind of stuff. I mean, you do have some of the shows there which are family oriented, but a lot of the stuff plays to the stereotypes as well, And one of the stereotypes, which is one of my favorite, is if you, as a person who's getting an education, and you have certain interests which are quote unquote not black, like you have an interest in art history or traveling, or you're getting an education, you're trying to be white. So what are you saying is black? No education, no interest outside of what the stereotypes are. So we enforce our own stereotypes. So we're part of the problem as well. This wonderful black actress, she ended up in Dynasty in the 80s. It was the first black woman to have her own show on television, very positive, educated woman. And, and it sort of kept progressing to there up until I think the Cosby Show. And then after that, it just went down. I think, to be perfectly honest, it just kind of took a nosedive when you got BET in there. Because you have this idea, now BET is really going to continue on. But BET was all comedies and stereotypes. And for example, when you talk about the Holocaust and all of that, the Jewish people, their thing is never forget, and they're constantly making sure you never forget, because it's not just Holocaust month, it's Holocaust year. They try to make sure everything never forget, and they have that out there all the time. You do something and they're there, and people have never forgotten the Holocaust. But
how many people know about Rosewood in 1906 or whatever? What? Rose what? You know? Especially when I was younger, and even now, I think when people ask me, oh, so, you know, what, you know, they know I've been to university, they ask me, so what degree did you get your, you know, what degree did you get to, what program were you in? And I say art history. There's usually a bit of a pause. First of all, art history, how are you going to get a job with that? And then, oh, you're a black woman, you did art history. How many black women do you know who do art history? Isn't that something like rich white girls do? And my interest that stems from that, traveling, you know, consuming art. I love that sort of thing, antiques, that kind of thing. And that's goes so far away from the idea of what a black woman is or her interests, what they should be. So I think for me, pretty much most of my interests, I think, from what I've heard from people's comments, it's always been, oh, yeah. If you want to say, I don't think of you as a color, that's positive. You think of me as me, and you accept me for the things that I do and who I am. That's positive. But to strip away my color, it's part of something intrinsic to me. I mean, it's my color. And to say it's a negative by saying I don't see it, I think it goes a long way to showing that, you know, what you see in the media in terms of mass consumer media is not necessarily reflective of who and what blacks are. It's not. You have to actually see people one-on-one, you know, in their natural environment, so to speak, to see that they are people. They're not just this color attached to a whole bunch of different stereotypes, some of them going back 100 years. You don't judge, you know, see, you know, me and the other people who are here. We're not just a bunch of, you know, like I said before, for lack of a better term, stereotypes. We're individuals. We have our own likes, dislikes, our own ways of presenting ourselves, of going forward in the world. And it's not necessarily conforming to a particular idea of who we are based on our color.
So whose fault is it? Are things going to change? The one thing we must keep in mind is the fact that this stuff sells. And any changes in the types of programming that we're used to seeing can result in a lot of people losing a lot of money. Would a better image, similar to that of the Cosbys in the 80s, be able to sell today?
Hell yeah, it could
There's a market.
Why wouldn't it
There's
sell?
a market. Sure, there's a market.
The perception is that it would be boring, because the reality of our boring life, to me, is anything but boring. I think we have an amazing, exciting, fun, very detailed, very interesting life.
I blame the producers and the casting directors and the script writers, mainly because they are the people who not only come up with the ideas for, you know, their mass productions, but they're also the people who approve and say yes or no to what goes into the media and what doesn't. The things that are said in movies and television shows, the things that are done, the things that are referenced, those are all written up or created or visualized by someone before they reach the eyes and ears of millions. So when you have that type of power and you have that type of reach, there is also a sense of social responsibility that comes with that, and you have to understand that what you say and what you write that gets shown to the entire world is definitely going to have an impact on the people who are watching.
So as long as society is entertained by this kind of stuff, it's going to keep growing and growing and growing. It used to be like you needed to have a script to do a show. You needed to have a write-up to do a show. Like these days now, you don't even need that.
It's going to take a shift in priorities for the people making money.
From a relationship standpoint, if we're going to the same schools and churches and basketball games, you never know who you're going to meet. And I think that more interracial couples, eventually racism is not going to exist if every single person on the earth is one color. Mm-hmm. So I think it could potentially change, but I think that the first step is an awareness to all of our subconscious or conscious or intentional prejudices.
So after talking to family, friends, and people involved in the media, what is there to take away from all of this? Not all black people are one-dimensional stereotypes, And even if they fit a few, that doesn't mean any others apply. Yes, I do fit some of the stereotypes. Basketball is my favorite sport. I like hip-hop, and I have a few tattoos, but that doesn't mean that I'm anything less than the educated, well-spoken man that I also am. This is just the beginning of the discussion, as I haven't come to any solution to this problem in the media. But by presenting a counterview to the mainstream negative one of black people, I just hope to begin a shift in the kinds of programming that's being force-fed to the masses today.
I'm black.
I am black. I am not a criminal. I'm not an angry person.
I'm not a baby mama.
I'm approachable.
I don't like fried chicken.
I'm not confrontational.
I don't even like chicken at all.
I am not a absentee parent, father. I am not a drug dealer.
I don't commodify my body.
Never worn a suit for a court date. I'm not a rapper. I've never had a court date.
I am my own person. Okay.